go. Recording right now. Good morning. So what's it like 9:15 over there, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's a little after 12 here, and it's 51 degrees, and I have shorts on because I roll like that. 50 and up, shorts all the way, baby.
Nice.
Yeah, it's pretty sad when 50 is good, but it's great, man. I love it. So
Here today, it's cold over here. It's 61 degrees.
it's terrible.
Yeah.
Sorry.
It's raining.
It's raining. Well, I've never seen it rain in San Diego. I've been there a lot. Wow. Well, first of all, good morning. How's everybody doing?
Woo!
All right, man. I love it. I love it. Well, I have a couple of business issues to get out of the way. The business would be thank yous. So numero uno. I'm not sure who to put numero uno, but I'm going to say Andy, because Andy, without you hosting this, it wouldn't be happening right now in your awesome place. So thank you, Andy. All right. Thank you. Ruben, my man. Without Ruben, you wouldn't have a workshop. All right. Ruben has I'm sure you figured this out in about 2 seconds yesterday. He has the knowledge, the passion, the enthusiasm, and the sincerity and the genuinity, if you will, for caring for and being passionate about helping people. And that's something we share in common. In fact, that's something that Jackie, Andy, Ruben, and me, we share in common. And I'm sure a lot of you do as well. So thank you, Ruben, my brother from another mother. All right. And Jackie, what can I say about you? Now I don't want this to sound like weird or anything, but I've talked with you about it, so I know it's cool. I met you about 3-4 years ago in Toronto, and before you even opened your mouth and said anything, she's over in the corner. We're at this workshop, right? I'm like, there's something up with that woman. I have to know her. And so what's happened is you changed my life. So thank you. You have added so much to who I am, what I'm about, and so has Andy, and so has Ruben. So thank you to the three of you, all right? And the last thank you goes to all of you for attending. This shows that you are, I don't want to diminish anybody because that's not what I'm about, and I'm not doing this, but you're above. You are committed. You want to learn, help, you care about people, you care for each other. How many people made friends yesterday? New friends. Happens every time, right? And isn't that awesome that we get to make new friends, new connections, and then continue? So I appreciate very much that you're attending. Thank you so much. I am sorry that I can't be there. I've been to Andy's place a few times. I attended Jackie's workshop there, the Scully method. Here's what I'll say about that. Single best workshop I ever went to, so go. If she hosted in San Diego, you must go, period. Don't doubt it, just go. All right. Andy does stuff there at his place. You may have gone to other workshops, I don't know. Whatever he has is freaking awesome. And whatever he offers is freaking awesome. So go. And I mean this sincerely. I couldn't say that about everybody where they host me, because some hosts, I'm always grateful for the people who are interested enough and willing to host a workshop. They're all great people, but they don't always do things like Andy does and what Jackie does. And so you're at the top of the cream rises to the top. You're the cream. So I thank you for that. So I can't be there because I am grounded from flying. I won't dwell on this for more than about 1 minute. Last late May 30th, I was arrived in Singapore to teach at Jerry Teo's place. Anybody know Jerry Teo? Do you know him, Jackie? Okay. He's an instructor for Dr. Emily Splickle, and he teaches all over China, all over Asia. Great guy. And so I arrived in Singapore to go to the hospital immediately because I had a massive amount of blood clotting in my left leg. Well, who knew? I've been all over the world. And for this to happen, really, first of all, it pissed me off because I've been healthy for the most part. at least since I was 48 years old, and now I'm 59. But before that's another story. I was overweight, blah, blah, blah. But I got my act together, started, getting into this business 11 years ago of doing personal training, and then got into the neural thing later. But it kind of, I became what I consider to be a statistic. So I was upset because I don't want to be a statistic. And then 2 weeks ago, I think it was, I had more vascular surgery. I count my blessings because what I have, even though it's a very rare genetic hereditary blood clotting issue, it's manageable. And I have great medical teams. I have people who have helped me in the medicine world and otherwise. And I feel great. I just can't fly. So if I could fly, I would be there. Just know I'm there in spirit. And I knew yesterday, like I had I didn't even think about the workshop much yesterday because I know how well Ruben does. The feedback we get is amazing. And he has the passion, the sincerity. And I know Jackie was there. I know Andy's hosting. It's like, you can't find a better crew to be leading you through all kinds of stuff that you may not have heard of before or learned before. But if you did, you probably got a better idea of, more in-depth knowledge. So you're in really good hands. And I'm happy to just join you for a little while here. I have a few things I'd like to go over. So I'm going to get a little of the funky stuff out of the way. Anybody who knows me knows I'm not about money. If I was, I wouldn't charge so little for a workshop for a time when I was offering a deal. It was an experiment. I wanted to see what would happen. And, we don't make money on these things. But it's never been about the money. It's been about how can we make better quality of life better for as many people as possible, because we know that when quality of life gets better for one person, let's say a person with Parkinson's, for example, well, oh my gosh, depression is the number one non-motor symptom of Parkinson's. Anxiety is number two non-motor symptom of Parkinson's. If you can relieve some of that anxiety and get rid of a little bit of that depression and start to feel hopeful and like you're not defeated anymore or not as defeated, and you see potential for, oh, wow, I can move better. I can do this. I can do that. All I had to do is learn about it and then execute it, learn how, and then do it. Whoa. That goes out, and the ripple effect, right? So it goes out to loved ones, caregivers, family, friends, co-workers, whatever. And the most important thing is the person with the issue feels better. So that's what we're about. However, in the interest of continuing this momentum and this education, reaching out, I have 3 items that I want to tell you about, and I hope you buy them. And here's why. None of the money goes to me. All proceeds, 100% of proceeds go to my foundation. My foundation is called Parkinson's Global Project. I started it 2 years ago. We've raised almost $30,000, even though the website says 17,000. It's actually more because some came through checks from people. They didn't go through GoFundMe and all that. But we've sent money to Mexico to officially start a study on Naboso insoles. We're getting ready to send a chunk to Toronto to do a rock tape with Dr. Steve Capobianco. If anybody who knows him, he's a freaking awesome dude. And we're looking at researching postural taping for, in particular, people with Parkinson's disease, because we know that taping to improve posture can be very helpful. As long as we don't disturb their center of gravity too much, bring them up to upright position and too quickly so that they fall backwards. We don't want that. So we tape to gradually get them up over time, days, weeks, months. And that this Dr. Alfonso Fasano, who's a very good friend of mine and a world-renowned neurologist, especially for deep brain stimulation calibration, which is the specialty that he's known for, we will do this study. So your purchase of this, which Jackie wrote a beautiful chapter for play. How many people played this weekend? Anybody play? I didn't have to ask if she taught it because I knew she would and you would understand. So the book is called Parkinson's Regeneration Training. That's not the real book. It's just the cover wrapped over a different book. But the book comes out in about a month, I'm very happy to say. We'll also have an audio version on Audible. To pre-order this book, it's $25 in the United States. It's a little bit pricey for a book. However, it's massive. It has contributions from Dr. Perry Nicholson, Jackie Wu, Dr. Emily Splickle, my son, whose PhD happens to be in Parkinson's, although we've never worked together on anything. This is our first time collaborating on anything, is he wrote a chapter, well, half of a chapter on in the book, Dr. Nick Sterling. We've got Dr. Ingrid Estrada Belliman and Dr. Fernando Carrera wrote a piece about breathing issues in Parkinson's, because breathing issues are number 2 cause of death in the population, pneumonia being number 1 within the breathing issues. Steve Capobianco, taping. Massimo Morano, a friend of mine in Rome, who's a neurologist who wrote about falls and Parkinson's. Derek Mikulski from the Active Motion Bar, and we have several other people too. We also have about a dozen stories from people who have and live with Parkinson's, and it's kind of like the chicken soup for Parkinson's regeneration training book, because it's chicken soup for the soul of how are we thinking here and how are we feeling here in our heart and in our mind about fighting back against this disease. None of these people, as I find around the world when I've traveled and taught, although we will see people who walk in and feel defeated and hopeless, many of them don't feel that way because they are not allowing Parkinson's to define them. All right, they're defining it. That's what we're going to tell you. I'm not Parkinson's. It doesn't define me. I'm going to define it and how I deal with it. It won't deal with me. I'll deal with it. So these are great stories. So the book is, oh yeah, you can see, right? It's not the real book, but it's Parkinson's Regeneration Change. So to purchase that, you could go to thepdbook.com, thepdbook.com. When I email you later tonight with this video, which I will send, that'll be there. It's meant to be a resource that grows and grows and grows. And here's why, because it comes with a website, a support site that I just decided it'll be free. I'm getting some flack for that, and I just don't care. If I sell 1 million copies, my foundation will be happy and 1 million people will be on a website. But the website is designed exactly, and it follows the book format. So the reason it's taken 2.5 freaking years to write this is because I keep learning more. I have like Jackie teaching me things, all kinds of people all over the place, and Ruben sharing ideas with me. Ruben messes me up, man. I love it because he'll mess me up and think, dude, think about this. Yeah. Oh my God, I got to write that in my book. Well, if I keep adding things, I'll never finish the book. So the website will continue to grow. It has the current book content, but it will also have other content. As I learn, this site will grow, and then at some point, 2-3 years, whatever, I'll release edition 2, right? So the other thing I did before we get on to other stuff is, bing, I used to be a drummer for 35 years professionally, and that was my living. That's all I ever did. I never had another job until I started working at the university here in charge of the neuromotor training stuff here at Syracuse University, which I love. It's awesome. So, friends of mine in Los Angeles, anyone here follow the jazz world at all? Any jazz lovers or contemporary jazz or R&B? We have some great musicians on this CD. One of them, Jeff Richman, has played with everyone from Toto to, Phil Collins to, he's played on things you wouldn't know that it's him, but he's a guitar player, right? He has Parkinson's. His tremors are getting in the way of, doing, if I can get my hand on the stuff on the guitar. So I've been coaching him for about two years almost. I've been following him for over 20 years before a friend of mine called and said, hey, this guy I know has Parkinson's. Then he tells me who it is. I'm like, oh my God, I've been following him for like 20 years. I love his music. And so we decided last year on a trip to LA, where I actually visited Andy's place. Thank you, Andy, because I got to help some people from Mexico who came up for a few hours that day, teaching a workshop, LA. And we decided we would jam. Yeah, right. I haven't played a gig in 6 years. I'm terrible. You don't want me playing drums right now because it ain't going to sound too good. But we ended up evolving this into a CD. So the CD is $7.92 if you do the download. Just go to Dream, just like it says, dreamcd.org. And then there's like iTunes, Spotify, I mean, all these things, I don't even know, but you go to dreamcd.org, and whatever we get from that, proceeds-wise, which probably won't be till the end of the year, but we don't care. It just goes all to the Foundation of Fun Research. So it's music picked by people with Parkinson's with a positive message for people all over the world. Those are my two things that I wanted to share right now. So as I almost feel guilty about saying it, but I don't feel that guilty because we worked hard to put these things together. The book is really good. I mean, I wrote like 80% of it. And I have people like Jackie and Perry and all these people who wrote. I needed to have some really top-notch input because I'm just a guy who hangs around with people who know more than I do, and then they accumulate information and try to experiment and do this and that and blah, blah, blah. And then next thing you know, we've got people moving better and whatever. So I put together this resource. So yesterday, I was thinking a lot, and this is similar to how I was, speaking with the group in Tempe, Arizona last week. One of the things that we want to do, and you probably picked up on this yesterday, especially with the three of you there, Jackie, Ruben, Andy, is probably one of the most important viewpoints you can take is to look at your body as a holistic entity and treat it that way. And I'm going to be the first to tell you right now that I only know what I know, but I know enough to teach some things that are really cool that can help people almost instantly. Then you have the rest of the people out there who know way more. And you're looking at three of them right now. You're with them, Jackie, Ruben, Andy. These people all know their own stuff, and they know things shared in common. And whatever it is that they tell you, take it to heart, take it seriously, because I actually wish I was there, because one of the best things, I always wish I was at every workshop because I love it. My favorite thing about traveling wasn't seeing new things or this and that. It was meeting the people who I get to be with. And even more so, my favorite thing about travel is the things that make my head spin and where I learn so much. This is so powerful. I'm a little bit excited today. Like, I feel really good today. I have shorts on and it's 51, and I'm going to ride my bicycle today because I'm allowed to do that. So the thing is if you look at anybody, every single person, there's no way you can't learn something from every single person. I'm pretty well known for going to cities, and instead of going to a bar and drinking, which I'll do that sometimes, yes, but I will spend more time out on the street, a lot of times talking with people who are, maybe they're homeless, they're asking for money. I never, ever, ever carry cash with me, ever. And so I can't give anybody money, cash, but I can give them time. And I could ask them questions. And I really like to do that. I remember in Chicago last year, I spent about 3 hours walking around, looking at the buildings. I used to live there for 2 years, and it was really cool. I'm walking at John Hancock Tower, I'm looking at all this cool stuff, walking in these cool neighborhoods. And I remember this guy, Tony. We talked for about a half an hour. He's in a wheelchair. He lives rescue mission, I think. His story was really interesting. He has a master's degree. I don't know how he got to where he was. He didn't tell me that, but I learned stuff. So each of you, I'm sure you already did this yesterday, but man, I'm super ADD today, but I'll come back around to the whole point, right? Is learning is so important. Everybody can teach you something, and you're in like the best company right now. This company is going to really drive home the fact, and here we go. I know where I am. Holistic. The body needs to be treated holistically. We have so many systems in the body. You know, we have muscles, we have skeletal system, the nervous system, limbic system, visual system, vestibular system. I mean, that's just this scratching the surface, right? If any one of those systems isn't functioning optimally, the other systems are going to be compromised in some way, shape, or form. Okay, so you're getting education, hopefully, that causes you to look at things more holistically. Has anybody yesterday, I'm just curious, because I know that none of us, Ruben, Allison, Russ, or me, we never teach the workshop the same way every time, because it's really tailored around who is there and what the needs are. Yesterday, can somebody comment, what did you learn? Were there any learning moments that were like, whoa, made your head spin? Anybody? Yes. The gentleman in front here.
I learned about an exercise.
You learned about what?
An exercise that helped me relieve the stress on my neck and shoulders.
Excellent, and it worked pretty well?
It works fantastic. Used it last night, used it this morning.
Ah, see? And it's probably a simple exercise, right?
Very simple.
But if you didn't know it and you weren't doing it, then you would experience your neck discomfort, but now you know it. It's simple and boom, right?
Like all good things, simple.
I tell you, man, that's usually the way it is, yeah. Who else? Anybody else? Ruben, you had your hand up.
I'm learning a lot from these people here. I'm doing nothing.
Yeah. I learned that the little simple things we can do to take care of my husband who has Parkinson's, so we can do some simple exercise for him.
Excellent. Do you mind telling me your name?
My name, Carmen.
Oh, Carmen, hi. It's nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
I saw you sign up, so thank you. Great. Anybody else? Any feedback? Any comments?
Yeah, we learned a lot. It's great. The format is really great. I'm Lisa. I've been to a bunch of different Parkinson's workshops, but this one is really unique in that it is a platform for sharing and learning from other people, which is really brilliant. And I think one of the things I learned was about how, it doesn't matter what you're teaching or how you're teaching, but it's really just about that connection in the heart, the person that walks in to wherever you are.
Lisa, I appreciate you sharing that too. It's, there are only two workshops I've ever done where it was only like fitness trainers and physios and movement specialists, right? They were okay, they were fine, we all learned a lot, but the best part is, although we feel very empathetic, we feel badly that there are people out there dealing with Parkinson's and other movement disorders. We really want to reach them. We want to reach them directly. And the best way to do that for all of us is to have everybody together. And having people together, if they have a movement disorder, along with professionals, it has been, Ruben will tell you, we were there before a couple of years ago at Andy's place. There's so much that came out of it because we get to learn from each other. As we all know, let's just take Parkinson's, for example. First of all, people with Parkinson's are people too, right? Why do I say that? Well, it doesn't define you. MS won't define you. Cancer doesn't define you. You define it the way you're going to do it. It doesn't diminish the fact that you have it or the impact it may have. But a person with Parkinson's, I just had a guy a couple of days ago with Parkinson's who's starting having really bad chest pain. He has a history of heart issues, right? He's okay. He went to the hospital, he's fine. But it was kind of a scary moment, right? So this other health history can come in. Bottom line is every person with Parkinson's, for example, is uniquely affected differently. There may be commonalities or similarities in, maybe 3 out of 5 people have a tremor, but then there's a whole bunch of other stuff that affects them differently. Same thing with MS, same thing with cancer, same with, it's people. So this getting people together in one group, different movement professionals, physical therapists, people with movement disorders, and just anybody. This is an area we found to be really beneficial. So I hope that you're finding that beneficial as well. When it comes to I want to talk about the brain for a minute. There are 2 primary categories that I like to talk about in this arena. There are other categories I could go into, but I think you'll learn more this weekend from Jackie, Ruben, and Andy. I want to drive home a couple of points. Like the point of me calling in today, besides promoting my book and CD, which really, it is important to me, but what's more important is this. What's more important is you have some takeaway points that you leave and you don't forget how important certain things are. Here's one of them. We know that statistically, the absolute best way to, I've got to get a book here to show you. I have to clarify and qualify this, the best way via exercise to slow disease progression of something going on in the brain, let's say Parkinson's, Alzheimer's, and other things. Or, like in my family, I have a long history on the upline on my mom's side. Now, my mom's okay. She doesn't have Alzheimer's, but her mother did, her grandmother did, her great-grandmother did. And so I'm aware of this. I realize I could skip my mom's generation, and maybe I'm predisposed to it. Don't know. But I know this. The single best way via exercise to either delay disease onset or slow disease progression is cardio, 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 todos los días. So now I go back to Mexico and learn how to speak a little Spanish, right? So every single day. I used to say 5-6 days a week. And then I was in Toronto last year with Russ Parker and with Dr. Ryan Scott. Ryan Scott said, because his father has Parkinson's, no, every day. Well, it doesn't have to be super intense, but it needs to be consistent. 20 minutes minimum, 30 would be better, according to Dr. Lisa Moratori, who's a neurologist at Stony Brook University, who I've spent quite a bit of time with, and she's really awesome. Did you talk about BDNF yesterday?
Yes.
Great. So I won't give you the whole lecture on it, but I'll say this. In 60 seconds or less, you could be doing arm sprints in your chair. You could be holding the towel and flapping the towel in your chair. You can do whatever it is. Get the heart rate elevated to the equivalent of, at least the equivalent of walking as fast as possible, preferably for 30 minutes. That elevated heart rate helps to create in the brain this hormone. It's a growth hormone. It's a protein. It's called brain-derived neurotrophic factor. This is also known as, in many books, miracle grow for the brain. So this starts to circulate. It won't circulate after 5 minutes of cardio. 20 minutes minimum, but I say 30 because that's what Dr. Moratori says. 20 minutes is research-based, but that's just the bare minimum. 30 or more is better. Go out for a fast walk for 30 minutes or more every day, and you're going to get your heart elevated. You're going to get your BDNF created in the brain, which is Miracle-Gro. It circulates in the brain and it helps to slow the progression of dying brain cells and to give birth to new brain cells in a couple of areas. We know in Parkinson's, you did this yesterday, and you saw it in the videos I sent pre-workshop, that the substantia nigra is the primary area that's losing brain cells in Parkinson's. In Alzheimer's, it would be the hippocampus. But we know through research at New York University, through Dr. Wendy Suzuki, who I interviewed probably 4 years ago now, and we're about to do another one because she has a new book coming out in a couple months. If you look on, just Google Dr. Wendy Suzuki, Suzuki just like the motorcycle Suzuki, she's on many TED Talks, and she talks about this. Of course, TED Talks are great, right? They're like 20 minutes or less. But she talks about how, in my interview with her and on TED Talks, new brain cells can be born in the hippocampus and in the olfactory bulb. Anyone know what the olfactory bulb is? What it's responsible for? Yes, yeah, I see Lisa, right? Okay, so sense of smell. Do we have any people with Parkinson's in attendance here today? Or a movement disorder? May I ask you, is your sense of smell affected at all?
Totally.
Did that happen before you were diagnosed?
About a year and a half before I was diagnosed, yes.
Okay, and you already went over this yesterday and in the videos I sent, but that's an early symptom. Now it could be Alzheimer's, could be Parkinson's, could be a number of things. It could just be nothing for some people. However, I always say when I teach a workshop, if you or anyone you know experiences a diminished sense of smell, get to a doctor immediately and get to one that takes you seriously, all right? Because it ain't no joke. When this happens, it needs to be addressed. And hopefully it's nothing, but it could be something, all right? And the sooner they intervene with some type of treatment, it could just be start doing cardio along with whatever else they would do. And, you know, combining, I'm not ever here to say we're going to replace medications. Would I like to say that? Yeah, I would love to say that because this book says that can happen. But I'm not, I'm not a doctor. And it's not in my scope of practice to say that you can stop your medications. But I can tell you that when you exercise, especially cardio, the uptake of your medications because of BDNF will go faster. So you'll uptake the medications more quickly, and they'll stay in your system for longer, giving you a longer, now realize when I say this, I have to qualify this too. Generally speaking, uptake is faster and the effect. So if someone's prone with Parkinson's to on or off periods, on being moving well, off being not moving as well, on periods will be longer with exercise because of the BDNF and the uptake medications and staying in the system longer. I'd love to say that you could reverse Parkinson's or Alzheimer's. Now, according to this book, reverse. I can't do mirror images well, but cognitive decline. This is from Dr. Dale Bredesen, who I met and had lunch with in New York City a couple of years ago. He's somewhere in Southern California. This is a great book. I'm going to show you a few books that I highly recommend you read because they apply to all people. So when we go back to the brain and we're talking about things that you can do brain related that can help you the most, cardio every single day is going to create brain-derived neurotrophic factor when you do it for long enough. You already know the intensity and the duration, and that it can help grow new brain cells. So we have a couple different things here. I won't be much longer, by the way. I'm just kind of excited. I want to talk about this. In my interview with Dr. Wendy Suzuki at New York University, she talks about, and by the way, her first book was called Healthy Brain, Happy Life. And I have it on audiobook, so I can't show you the hard copy, but Healthy Brain, Happy Life, excellent book. I highly recommend it. I read all the time. She talks about how brain cells can definitely be born in the hippocampus, all right, so, and in the olfactory bulb. So I have two stories to tell you. The first one is this. When I was with Dr. Dale Bredesen, the author of this book I just showed you, we were also with Maria Schreiber. She was at lunch with us. So here's what Maria Schreiber's foundation did. She has an Alzheimer's foundation because her father, General Schreiber, passed away from Alzheimer's. They did a study, and it was over a 6-month period. I can't tell you how many people there were, but I can tell you this, that when people did cardio 5 days a week for 6 months, in that study, the majority of people realized an improved memory and improved sense of smell. There you go. That's pretty powerful. That's BDNF at work. It's your cardio causing your heart rate to create BDNF. We also know that I was telling the group last week in Phoenix, we being me and Dr. Carlos Guerra in San Luis Potosi, Mexico, and a couple of physical therapists there who work with him. We're tracking 9 people in Mexico. These 9 people all have a pair of the Naboso insoles. These 9 people all have Parkinson's. In, let's see, August, September, October, November, December. Yeah, okay, in a 5-month period from August to December, the people, 7 out of 9 people with Parkinson's who use the insoles because it helps to stimulate, and if you don't know about the insoles, I'll let Ruben tell you later, and Andy, and I know that Andy knows, I know Ruben definitely knows. These insoles help to stimulate the dormant nerves on the plantar skin, so when you get more sensation coming in the palms and in the plantar skin, which I do plantar first, palm next, as far as how densely populated they are with small nerve sensory receptors and mechanoreceptors. You wake them up, you get more input to the brain instantly, which causes output from the brain to help you stabilize and move better. Okay, that's just one area. I mean, they can teach you a ton of stuff that's gonna work, but this is one thing. 7 out of 9 people who use the insoles for 5 months, improved sense of smell came to them. And the other 2, now we're 3 months later, they're starting to smell, their sense of smell is improving just a little bit. So it's really powerful. Is this gonna stop the disease? Is it gonna cure it? No, I can't say that. Will it reverse it? I can't say that. I hope that it would. But more than anything, what we're looking at with this course, and you saw this in the videos that I sent before, is we have over here, what's available? Your neurology care, your physical therapy care, your education, and your knowledge, versus over here, functional life. Well, look at what's in the between that, besides my big head. All right, you got a gap. It's a gap. We want to close the gap. We want to fill in the gap with as much information as we possibly can. And if for nothing better, to help manage disease symptoms, okay? I would love to say, oh, this stuff will reverse something or to cure it or whatever. I can't say that. We don't know that. But if it can make life better, that's great. We've had people come into workshops feeling hopeless and defeated, and within a couple hours or by the end of by lunch the first day or the end of the first day, they're like, whoa, I'm starting to see a little bit of hope. And we talked about this earlier when we were talking about when people feel better, people around them feel better. We want to give you real hope, not false hope, in at least being able to manage the disease itself and improve quality of life, because that is so important. All right, so that's one area of the brain. The other area will take me about 30 seconds to well, I say that, so it's gonna be like 3 minutes. But anyways, it's the brain, all right, slowing disease progression. Now we have retraining the brain. Well, what does that mean? Well, Ruben will tell you. Jackie and Andy will tell you that the brain has what we call neuroplasticity. It's beautiful, right? It's an amazing thing. The brain's way of healing itself. Jackie, I wish I was with you with Dr. Deutsch a couple of years ago. Man, I would love to have attended that. I was teaching in New York City that weekend. But get this book. Also get his other book called The Brain That Changes Itself. That's the first one, and this is kind of like volume 2, if you will. This, though, has a really, really, really good Parkinson's chapter and a really great chapter on Alzheimer's. It talks about, oh man, what's that guy's name from South Africa? Anybody know the name? He has Parkinson's for like 40 years.
John Pepper.
Yes, thank you. Yeah. They talk about, because Norman knows him, so that guy, man, is it John or Don?
John.
John Pepe? Yeah, I mean, you got to read it. You got to get it. Spend $15 and get the book. I look at it as a resource, a study guide, not so much a book. But Norman talks about, and actually there's another guy too, I just remembered, well, I can't find it. I have so many books all over the place. I don't even know where they are. But there's another one called The User's Guide for the Brain by John Ratey. John Ratey is a Harvard professor, and they both use this term. It's called neurons that fire together, wire together. Yeah, 30 seconds turned into 3 minutes already. But here's what it means. When you got on your bicycle the first time ever, okay, was anybody good at riding a bike the very first time? If you were, raise your hand. I wasn't. Hey, no, that got a liar out there. No, just kidding. No, it's possible you could have been, but you probably weren't, right? But what happened? You get on it over and over and over. You practice. Your mom, your dad, somebody, they might be pushing you along. You might have had training wheels, whatever it was. Eventually, you got good at it. You got so you could do it, and you weren't crashing and falling down. Maybe you were on BMX doing like stunts in parks. I don't know. I always want to do that, but now I'm on Coumadin, so if I crash, I get a brain bleed. Well, that'd be bad. So anyways, bottom line is this. You can, anytime you learn something new, you have electrical synapses happening between neurons in your brain, all right? And the more they fire, the more they wire together to create networks of firing patterns, right? So you could have, different firing patterns that are your bicycle riding network of firing patterns. So that would explain why you don't ride a bicycle. Let's say you don't ride for like 5 years, 10 years, whatever it is. But then you get back on it and it's really cliche, but it's like riding a bike, right? It's like riding a bike because you get back on and boom, there you go. You're rusty for 5, 10, 15 minutes, half an hour, but you don't need to relearn. If you haven't ridden and those firing patterns are a little bit rusty, they haven't fired up in whatever time since you last rode, but they're still there and they're probably still connected. Now, I will say this, there's research to show that if you don't use it for long enough, you do lose it and you need to relearn. Whatever. Bottom line is, a lot of times they're still there, so you get on and boom, they refire and there you go. You're off. You're biking. You didn't have to relearn and take like 3 weeks to figure it out. So this would apply to things you will do if you didn't do them already, things you'll do today. Multitasking things, doing one thing at the same time you're doing another and maybe another. I know there's a book that Perry Nicholson told me about. What I really, really like, and I find to be very beneficial with all people I work with, even my mother, she has no diagnosis. She just never worked out a day in her life. But guess what? She's doing stuff now because she fell and broke her ankle 2 years ago. I was in Argentina teaching. She didn't tell anyone. 2 weeks later, they had to go, oh, Mom, you got to go to the doctor. Holy crap. She fell down in the ice and snow and she had to have surgery and re-break the ankle and screw some rods and all kinds of stuff. She's fine now, but now she does balance exercises and visual and vestibular exercise at the same time. So Perry told me about this book called The Infinity Walk. If you guys didn't go over the infinity walk yet, you will. Basically, you're setting up maybe a cone here and a cone here, then a cone here. And you're walking a figure 8 around the 2 cones while you're focusing on the other cone. You're looking at it, all right? So the one cone is, you get 2 cones or whatever, and then off in between those, but not in alignment with those, is another one. So you're walking around, and as you're walking, your head is turning and your eyes are tracking. You have visual system tracking, you have activating, you have vestibular, because your head's turning, vestibular is tracking and activated while you're doing a focused movement. And maybe Ruben or somebody is saying, hey, what's the capital of California? Sacramento. Great. Spell it for me. Great. Spell it backwards for me. You know, count backwards from 247 by 6s while you're doing that. So what that does is help to stimulate the deeper brain. That particular phrase comes from Colorado Springs Brain Clinic with Dr. Marcus Ernst. My head was like, every time I went there. And so other research talks about this too. We want to get as many systems, because we're looking at the body holistically, remember, to activate and fire at the same time. Because the brain has this neuroplasticity, and if you get good at doing something over and over and over again, that helps you to move better, then what we're looking for is in the facility you're training at, whether it's with a trainer or at a gym in a group fit class or at your home. You don't have to have a trainer. I mean, maybe you want one, that's great. But if you learn how to do these things, you can practice them. The more you practice, the more the neural firing patterns fire up, create new pathways. You get good at it because your brain has the ability to rewire itself. We know in Parkinson's is typically going out to the cerebellum primarily, and maybe the frontal lobe, motor cortex, but it doesn't matter where. We know that the brain will outsource to create new firing patterns to help you to move better. So wherever you're practicing it, practice it every day. Or if you're a trainer, movement professional, do this with your clients, with them, or your patients with them, and then the better they get in your facility, it'll translate to outside the facility. We did this last year at Andy's place. I had people come up from Mexico. The lady was rolled in a wheelchair. Now, she could walk, but it wasn't easy. And I'm not here to say, I'm great. It's nothing about it. I didn't make up anything. I don't even know anything. If I didn't meet everybody and learn stuff, I don't know anything. I couldn't have made this up. 4 hours later, she's running in the parking lot right outside that building there. I have video to prove all of it. I mean, Jackie was there and met her. Andy was there and hosted me being able to work with them. Thank you. And I still hear from her. She's still running. But she practices fall reduction, like multitasking techniques. So if you didn't do it yesterday, you're doing it today. So 30 seconds turn into 5 minutes, 8 minutes, whatever. You got the BDNF for the brain. You got retraining the brain. I would say as I get ready to close out here, probably the best thing that you can do, and when I say this to everybody, it doesn't matter, trainers, whatever, although it does matter. I mean, every workout I do here at the university with people, a lot of them are completely different than other workouts. I've been playing badminton with a person with Parkinson's. We play about 30 minutes. And it's great because it's reactive training. It's hand-eye coordination. And it creates BDNF because he's got his heart rate elevated. I mean, I don't wear my trainer's shirt there. I wear other clothes because I'm going to sweat like crazy. And then he plays hard. I have 2 people I do this with, him and a her, and we have a ball. But the reason I say that is I want to do things with them that will benefit them, but they will do them. And with that, I say do things that you will do. Don't do things you hate. If you do, great, good for you. I can tell you right now, I don't do any exercises that I hate. I don't do it. But there are enough things that I can do that will benefit me. I don't love all of them, but I don't hate. I won't do something I hate. But there's something just like, yeah, whatever. I just don't want to do it. But, I do it and it's okay. And it lasts 2 minutes or 5 minutes or 30 seconds and I'm done. But if you do the things that you like to do that you know are beneficial and try to make them be fun and add the element of play into it somehow, thank you, Jackie, because that really changed how I look at how I work with clients. Movement specialists, play is so important. Try to make things fun. And you probably already do, so I'm not here to diminish anything you're doing, but I'm just saying that I'm a slow learner, so I didn't play until like 2 years, 3 years ago, until I met Jackie. I didn't even know about play. What the heck is that? This is serious. Oh, wait, it doesn't have to be. Oh, great. This made my life easier, and theirs too. Because the more you do things you like to do, the more you're more likely to do them, and the benefits can be life-changing. I saw you guys in a video doing some rolling patterns yesterday. Very nice. Did you do some other floor stuff? Any foundational, like crawling or?
Rocking,
Huh?
rocking, breathing.
Oh, good, good, good. I call them foundational movement patterns. They could also maybe be called primal patterns, but there are other things that can go into that while you're doing them. If you fall down, we want to make sure you can roll over if necessary and get up on all fours if needed and crawl back to getting up to safety. All right? Because once you fall down, the good news is the floor is your friend. Right? You're not going to fall down after you fell down. You're down. Now let's use the floor to our advantage, leverage our bodies, learn how to use our bodies to roll over, to get up on all fours, crawl to safety, or if there's nothing around you, no prop to use to get up, learn how to get up without a prop. So I already talked about that. I was reading a book recently, Deepak Chopra, I can't tell you the name, I totally forgot. Talks about the brain being a human pharmacy. Don't stop your medication, but realize that your brain does create a lot of endorphins and hormones and chemicals when you exercise. Yeah, this is my last thing. So I am, I've been obese in my life. I've been clinically depressed in my life. I've been struggling recently because I'm not happy with some things. Like I'm really not happy that I can't fly. I'm not happy. I'm actually quite disturbed about that, but I have to deal with it. And, I want to stay healthy and live a long time. Depression is a thing for me. I still wake up every day, including today, feeling very sad. But I have a fix for it. And you have to find, if this applies to you, realize that your brain is like a pharmacy. And one of the best things I can do, there are a few of them, a handful. Number one, move. Just move. I have 2 dogs here, and I love my dogs. I get outside with them. It's, it could be 2 degrees out, or it could be, 44 this morning. It doesn't matter. I get outside, I move around. They're always so ridiculously happy that I'm awake in the morning. I can't be sad for too long. So I'm lucky. And if you don't have dogs, just move. Do arm sprints in your chair. It sounds ridiculous, right? I did it the other day because I wasn't feeling good at work. I did 1 minute arm sprints in a back room in my gym. And I felt so ridiculous, yet I came out of it feeling invigorated, and then I could get through the rest of the day. Reach out to somebody. Jackie, you were helping me the other night. Thank you. Ruben, you've helped me so many times. Ruben's really changed my perspective on life. He has helped me to realize that I got to stop worrying so much, for God's sakes, because 90% of what you worry about never happens anyways. So I'm not saying this so that, talking about me, but I know that a lot of people go through what I go through. I'm lucky. I have great people in my life. Look at the people you're around today. Those people are part of my life, and they're a very important part of it. I have a great wife. I have a great family. I have great people I work with. I have the best job. Seriously, I have the best job in the world. Like, I have no pressure, period, unless I put pressure on myself. I have free reign at what I do at the university. How could it get any better? So I just have to be grateful, move, take the dogs out, be thankful and grateful for my health. It could be way worse. I don't have Parkinson's. I don't have cancer. I just got a blood clotting thing, whatever. I take a pill. It's manageable. It's all cool. And I say this because I just want to deliver, I don't know any of you there. I wish I was there to get to know you, but if you ever have any of this type of, wake up and feel crappy and depressed and it's going to be a bad day kind of thing, I would challenge you to maybe change your perspective on it. And part of that comes from other people I've met who are way worse off than I am, and they're in a wheelchair and they can't walk and they're fighting. One of the biggest life-changing moments I had was about 3 years ago. I just remember it was January 11th. I don't know why I know, I just do. A lady called me, well, her husband called me, she can't talk. She actually passed away a couple months ago. It was very, very, very sad. She had a terrible neurological disorder called multiple system atrophy. If anybody knows about that, you know that it absolutely is so debilitating and it's horrible. Yet I show up at her house. She can barely utter a word. She can barely move. And I worked with her for almost 3 years, till 2 weeks before she passed away. She was fighting. She would have given anything to be able to stand up again, walk across the room, even with a walker, but that wasn't in the cards for her. And you know what? I get up, man, I walk around, I do stuff, whatever. There's no excuse for me personally. I'm not saying for you there's no excuse. There's no excuse for me to be bummed out. So my bumming every morning lasts about 10 minutes because I kind of feel that it's a luxury for me to be depressed, although I got to tell you, it's really hard to fight sometimes. So I just have to look for ways to combat that, and I'm getting good at it. So I didn't actually plan on going down that road, but every time that I speak, it's different. We'll cover the basis, we'll cover the important stuff, but are there any questions before you move on with your day and get started? Because I know it's like a little after 10 there, and you got a full day ahead of you. Any questions? Everybody good?
I think so.
Great.
Thanks for sharing, Carl.
Yeah, I hope I didn't talk too much. I always do think about that. I want to be respectful of time. But Andy, brother, thank you. Ruben, my man, my brother from another mother. Thank you. Jackie, thank you. What's on tap? What are you doing next?
Me?
Yeah, what are we doing? What's up?
Today we're gonna do all the cognitive training.
Whoa! It's my favorite part of the whole weekend. Yeah, you're going to love this, gang. Thank you to everyone who attended. So what's going to happen is this, and I'm really sorry, it's a shameful thing I'm doing, but I've worked 2.5 years on this, and Jackie contributed. So please go to thepdbook.com, look through, maybe consider getting it, because this will help to fund more research that we have to do. I'm here to make a change. I'm here to change the goddamn world. Pardon my French. And I'm totally serious about it. This is no joke. You can also find the CD. Just go to dreamcd.org and you can download it. It's $7.92. What else? I have a website, prtonline.net. If you buy the book, though, you're going to get the same stuff for free. you know, so I just cost myself money maybe, but I don't really care because it's really about the education, right? I'm not in it for the money. Have fun today.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I will email everybody later. I'll send this video. You can watch it or not, but it'll be there for you on a YouTube link, a private YouTube link. And thank you, everyone. All right? Bravo to you. Thank you. I'm going to sign off. Get on with your day. Have a great time.
Thanks for putting this all together.
It's my pleasure. All right, gang. I'll see you later. Bye-bye.